Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Well, welcome aboard. Another day of Indiana Sports Speed Radio coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway, the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Dustin Schutte with me as always. Brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda, #1 Honda dealer around, and Endeavor Hospitality, the great friends at the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store, sign up for the Wow Club, and begin earning Wow rewards today. The great places like BB's Market, where I can't wait to go to Friday. And speaking of BB's, I made a ribeye last night. It was one of the best steaks I've ever had. It's incredible. And it's just because of quality meat. I'm glad I thought of that. It was unbelievably good.
Makes a huge difference when you're working with quality meat.
I'm telling you. Looking forward to Bob Kravitz on the program today, and Rick Bozich, of course. A couple of big-time Hall of Famers. And we're checking in on our friends in Florida, as Dustin is one of those. But luckily he's not on the coast side, but that West Coast side about to be hit and hammered around the Fort Myers area. I've got friends in the Cape Coral area, which is right there, just underneath of Fort Myers, or actually it's just west of Fort Myers. It's on the coast. But of course, our friends we're thinking of our friends at the Ugly Grouper, which is on Anna Maria Island, just north of there, which is going to get hit. Almost a direct hit, man.
Yeah.
So think about everybody down there. Hope everyone stays safe and does whatever they can to stay out of harm's way. Look at Scott from Tampa. Scott is such a religious listener that even though a hurricane is barreling down, he's on with us. We appreciate you, Scott, and everyone else that's down there. I know that we have a lot down there. So we're thinking about you guys. Mike's on with us already. It is Old Hat Day. There you go. Sam, another one from Winter Garden, Florida. He's having tea at the moment, watching Ian approach. He's not open today or tomorrow. Not going anywhere. Switched to beer for lunch and whiskey for dinner.
There you go. Hey, Sam. I used to live in Windermere, so I know exactly where Sam's at in that Winter Garden area.
The dental practice. Sam, you have to remind me of the name of the dental practice. I forgot. It's not Joaquin Dental Practice either. It's something else. So that's why I can't remember. But remind me what that is. 5 lefts on already. Like I said, Scott on from Tampa. Man, I love it. Man, he says, Hurricane Schmurricane. Mike says, see, they found winds this morning that met. Oh, wow. Cat 5 level. Oh, hopefully it doesn't. Stays down. Michael, he's celebrating the Cardinals, Central Division champions. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to talk about this. There we go. Claremont Lakes Dental Care.
There you go.
Of course, if you're down in that area, not today or tomorrow.
No.
Not open.
I'd close
any
down
other
the offices.
Day.
Yes.
But any other day. Yeah, this was great. I wrote this down earlier. Mets reliever Richard Blyer gets called for 3 balks in the same at bat.
Yeah.
There was a runner at first. It scored a run.
It is one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Don
and ever
Mattingly
seen.
gets ejected. This guy had not been called for a balk in 296 innings. And as a reliever, how far back does that go?
That'd have to be at least a season.
Yeah, that's a long time, man.
Yeah.
And to get called 3 times, are you kidding me? I didn't see it. I have not seen it, but that's gonna play heavily because that was against the Mets.
Yeah, but the Mets actually lost the game.
They did lose. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did lose. So now it's an even. The Braves and Mets are tied up here in the East, coming down to the last whatever it is now, 7 games, 7-8 games.
It's so exciting.
It is.
That's about as exciting as baseball can get.
I've got my I got my victory cigars already lined up for when they take down K-Bros Mets and win another division. Then we go on to the World Series.
Were you a Braves fan?
Yes, sir.
Look at you, just trading out everything.
Didn't trade out everything. Still Pacers and Colts. But I didn't have a baseball team growing up. Didn't have a baseball team growing up, so I always kept an eye on the Cubs, the Reds, the Braves, because those were either close to me or they were nationally televised. And so then when I moved to Atlanta, that put it over the top for me. I just became a full-on Braves fan.
Indiana looking to take on Nebraska this weekend. I did another radio show last night, and Indiana is now a 6-point underdog, aren't they?
Yes.
Is that right?
It was 5.5. I think it did move to 6, but the last I actually saw was 5.5.
That's unbelievable. If you're an Indiana fan, that's not good news. Aaron Judge, we're talking about baseball. Still stuck on 60. 4 walks. Got walked 4 times, but he's not getting intensely walked. He's getting almost 7 pitches per at bat.
Wow.
So they're not he was just being picky, I guess, and they're being selective, but they're not intentionally walking him. He'll get it.
I would hope so. There's so much pressure. I guarantee he wants it because it's a monumental thing, but he probably also wants it because he wants to get it over with. I would think at this point, because everybody's talking
that
about
record
it.
Has still stood all this,
I know.
through all this talk, through the steroids, all that. All those guys happen to be national leaguers.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And not one of them's played for the Yankees.
Well,
pretty remarkable.
No. Yep. Well, so he'll get it done, though. I would imagine.
I would think so.
Trying to find this Indiana game real quick. How about Washington and UCLA?
That'll be a fun one.
They've got, they're a favorite. But where is it? Purdue is getting 12.5 points at Minnesota. That's not enough, I don't think.
That line moved up. Oh, I disagree. That line moved to 12.5.
Yep.
Whew. There must be some intel on Aiden O'Connell's status, would be my guess on that, but I don't know for sure.
I bet a 17-team parlay yesterday.
Did you really? Oh, I can't wait.
It's just $15. It pays out $1.2 million.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the fun part to me. You could try to put like 500 on one game and try to make that amount.
No, you don't need to put that amount. You put $15.
No, that's what I'm saying.
$15 stinking dollars.
That's what I'm saying. If you bet it on one game, then it's hit or miss and you're done.
Oh,
and you've already out that money. You do the smaller bet and you're not out a lot if you lose, but if you gain it, you won't be here on Monday.
No, maybe back on Tuesday, but Monday's out. I'm trying to find it. I can't believe I'm not seeing the Indiana game yet, but how about Illinois and Wisconsin? That'll
be a lot of fun.
Fun one to talk about. That'll be Friday. I cannot wait to talk about that one. But
Brett Bielema getting back to Wisconsin, first time since he left Madison for Arkansas.
Daggone it! I can't believe the
I've
game's
got
not popping up.
Mine says I've got Indiana as a 5.5-point underdog, is what my line says. Now it varies from
changed a little bit,
sports book to sports book, but
yeah, that's. What are your thoughts there? With Nebraska has just not shown anything.
My thoughts on that are Nebraska typically gets the line. It's hard for me to judge because Nebraska with the lines has been very odd the last, 2 years maybe, because there were a lot of games last year that they were favored in. And obviously they didn't win them. So the money and their over-under total has always been usually fairly high considering the lack of success they've had.
Yeah,
so
it has. It's
people
dropped.
People gambling. I still think there's a level of we got to bet on the name of the front of the jersey, just expecting that Nebraska's going to, kind of like Texas. They just expect that at some point Nebraska's going to be back. So what I will say in this is I don't think either team should be more than 3-point favorite. Indiana did not look good. There's a little bit of we don't know from Nebraska because they just had a week off, so they had an extra week to prepare. So there's that factoring in. This to me seems like I don't know about typical, but this seems to me like a game in which Nebraska is going to jump out to like a 21-3 lead, and then they lose another one possession game. That's just how it feels to me. Because Indiana's been such a great good second half team. They've had struggling starts. Nebraska has built some leads in some games, but they've not been able to sustain them. So that's to me how I kind of see this game going down.
Tannis hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline says, oh no, that's the wrong one. I hit it. It keeps moving on me. He was a Braves fan until Kirby Puckett made that catch at the wall. Now he's an underdog fan. Boy, I remember that too. All 5'6" or whatever Kirby was, making that catch.
There you go.
Time to take a break. We got to make room for Bob Kravitz. Looking forward to that. As we're rolling on, brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market, where I can't wait. We'll be back there on Friday. Looking forward to seeing what Chef JD is cooking up in next week. We're gonna have a big blowout for homecoming and all of that. So big days ahead. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market. BB's Market, a part of the Wild Club, and they are your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer. No matter where you live, they have some of the best custom meats around, and that's a fact. I can guarantee you. I testify to that. Visit bbsmarket.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio and Bob Kravitz right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Boy, it got quiet there.
You did.
calm before the storm.
It is. That's a real thing too.
I always find it very as frightening as it can be. Sometimes I enjoy the calm before the storm.
Well, it's very
also, while it might be frightening, it's also at the same time very relaxing.
Last night it was like 68 degrees here. It was perfect. We sat on the porch for forever.
Introducing Bob Kravitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you?
Dun, 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 dun,
Wearing the Whalers hat, per usual.
Per usual. It felt like a Whalers day.
In honor
well,
of,
it certainly is in Florida.
Whalers? We say, where's Whalers from?
The Boston Whalers.
Hartford
Whalers.
Yep. Don't ask me too much about the IU game because I played golf that day and didn't see a hell of a lot of it. So
you didn't really miss much.
Yeah, I'm tired. We're tired of talking about it.
Hey, Pacers. If you want to talk some Pacers, if you're interested, they opened camp yesterday.
Didn't you have a positive take on the Colts? Even though, well, I mean, that was before the Kansas game, but
it would. I not only picked the Colts to win, but I picked them to win by 3.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Got it right on the dot on Twitter.
Well, since you're that good, what's going to be the deficit for Indiana and Nebraska this weekend?
Oh, I'm retiring on top, man. This is as good as it's ever going to get. I can only go downhill from here.
All right, here we go.
Through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this beautiful Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a good day. We're halfway, thinking about our friends in Florida. Bob Kravitz joins us from The Athletic. How are you, sir?
I'm good, and I'll echo what you said. I've got a lot of friends and family. My stepmom lives in St. Pete. I just gave her a call, so everything is good so far. But I'm watching a little CNN. It's getting a little dicey down there.
Yeah, I was just have the radar pulled up and just giving it an eyeball, but nothing you can do but watch it come in.
It's a Cat 5, or it's approaching.
Oh, it is.
It's approaching a Cat 5. So they're talking about a lot of issues with flooding and whatnot. So anyway, our best wishes to those folks.
Absolutely. Indiana Pacers set to get off on a much better season. Jennifer even noticed a good article on Mr. Turner. Mr.
Oh,
Kravitz.
thank you. I'm getting a lot of crap for it for whatever reason, but if you don't think that Miles Turner is going to get traded, you're not paying attention. Now, whether he's traded in the next 10 minutes or traded 10 minutes before the trade deadline, he's going to be traded. There's no desire on either side's part to give him an extension, at least as far as I know. I know for sure he's not interested in signing an extension, and who can blame him? You know, they went out and they kicked the tires on DeAndre Ayton. He's going to be a free agent at the end of next year. There's no way they're going to lose him for nothing. That would be total management malpractice. So it doesn't take a genius or me to figure out that Miles Turner is not long for the Pacers.
Yeah, and they just had media days. I've gone through some of the quotes, Bob. I haven't kind of sat down and watched what each player or anything had to say, but it seems like the franchise is fully embracing the youth movement from the coaches to the players, and it's just kind of exciting for me as a fan from that perspective, because there's not often do you get a Pacers rebuild, quote unquote, and that's what this feels like, and I've always felt like the Pacers organization has tried to use duct tape and bubble gum to try to get into the playoffs to be competitive. And so for them to go the route of an actual rebuild, try to build for maybe a 3 to 5 year window when they can be really competitive, to me, that's really exciting. And it seems like the players and coaches know that that's what the plan is as well.
I really think, look, this is a really smart basketball town. And I think as long as they play hard and show incremental improvement, I think this town will support them. I think, look, the Pacers and their fans got very fortunate in that Donnie Walsh was able to rebuild a team that went to the NBA Finals in 2000 to a team that came back that was with a completely different group, went to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of times, 2004 or 5, whatever it was. And Larry Bird did that as well. So they've always been able to sort of rebuild on the run. But in today's NBA, that's really a hard thing to do. I think those are anomalies, even though it kind of happened twice here in Indy. And I give Herb Simon a ton of credit for finally understanding that this is the direction they needed to go. It's not something that he really wants to do, but he understands that, you look at Memphis and teams like that, look at the way they've rebuilt. And next year's draft, where the Pacers are going to have 3 first-rounders, that draft goes 7 to 8 deep as far as franchise-changing players, including Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be the number 1 pick, a 7'3" Frenchman who's supposed to be the next coming.
One of the things that interested me, as you mentioned, Miles Turner's been on not the chopping block, but the trading block multiple times. His name's always come out. Did the Pacers re-signing Jalen Smith, who I don't know if they thought before the end of the season if he would re-sign. He seemed to be playing really well and playing his way into a better contract, but he decided to stick in Indiana. Do you think that plays a factor in the Pacers shopping Miles a little bit, or do you think it's just been long-term? Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think it has anything to do with it. They desperately need forwards. They desperately needed a power forward. That was a really interesting deal because Jalen Smith, I remember when Rick Carlisle kept playing him late last year, and everybody's like, this guy won't be here in the future.
Exactly.
Why are you playing him? And quite frankly, I understood where fans were coming from. But they were developing a relationship. They were seeing what the guy could do. And he took less money, significantly less money, to stay in Indianapolis rather than go elsewhere. He feels like this is the best developmental situation for him. He's guaranteed a starting position at the 4 spot. But as far as Miles goes, that's a completely different deal. That's separate from that. He's a free agent at year's end, and you got to get some assets in exchange.
Speaking of Memphis, you mentioned Memphis. I saw Penny Hardaway escaped problems from a while back when he'd given money to a kid that then later on he becomes a coach at Memphis.
Funny how that happens.
Yeah, just perked up, but he escapes problems with the independent enforcement board, who was also being dissolved after they finished their current caseload. That's no joke. It was the independent accountability resolution process is what it's called, was designed to streamline the enforcement process and reconsider complex cases.
Streamlining? This has been going on for 3 years.
That's the whole point. It's what gets it so funny.
January 6th hearings will end before this.
That's what makes it funny. It's being dissolved after they finish their current caseload.
I honestly have not read deeply into that whole situation. I read a column from a friend of mine, Jeff Calkins in Memphis, who talked about how he kind of skirted the law there, the NCAA law, but. I'm not sure how he gets out of this unscathed, but apparently he did. So, he's the Teflon Don, I guess.
Yeah. But I just love the fact that this board is being dissolved as soon as they get done with their current caseload.
I know.
That's why, because as you mentioned, this started, it was handed the Memphis case in March of 2020.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's a little quicker than I thought. So 2 years.
But it was happening before that. This is just when they got their hands on it. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. The Colts,
wow.
Mr. I guess we can call you
you can call me
Kravitz Damas, Baba Damas, someone,
dumbass, and whatever you want.
Nostra Babas. There we go.
Yeah. So in case I haven't repeated it about 1,000 times, during the course of the week after they got run by Jacksonville, I wrote a column saying, we've seen this movie before. They always start slow. They always figure it out. By the end of this season, they will be in the hunt for the AFC South title. And then a couple of minutes before the game, I don't know what compelled me, but I tweeted out, I said something along the lines of Colts, 3.5 hours from now, this may look really dumb, but I'm picking the Colts by 3 points today, and I'm going to die on this hill. What was the final score, boys?
2017.
Thank you. So insufferable does not even begin to tell the story of how annoying I've been since I was right, because as my wife likes to remind me, I'm never right.
That was my favorite part is when you would predict something right and you can just boast about it, because people on social media will be the first to let you know when you are dead ass wrong. So you play up those W's as much as you can.
Yeah, I've air conditioned many arenas with bad takes. Like Trent Richardson's a great trade. I remember that one. That was a good one. Of course, they only lost Johnny Manziel in the deal, but you take a lot of swings, and sometimes you whiff, and sometimes you hit that son of a gun right out of the park. I was Aaron Judge that day, baby.
What?
The home run hitters are always the strikeout leaders.
That's right. I got a little Dave Kingman in me, if you want to go way back.
Oh man, Dustin,
I was going to ask. The Colts got the win, which is obviously big. The way they got the win, though, any level of concern? Because I mean, Kansas City absolutely gift wrapped that with a fake field goal, missed another field goal. Then they had the fourth down stop, and a 15-yard penalty gives the Colts a first down. So, I mean, you got to give credit to the Colts because they didn't roll over like they did in Jacksonville. But through the first 3 games, the thing you talked about heading into the season, I still don't see a pass catcher other than Michael Pittman Jr., at least a consistent one. And they are struggling to move the ball. Yeah.
The offensive line has been a complete surprise to me. I mean, I thought, I knew that they might take a little bit of a step back with Danny Pinter in place of Mark Lewinsky. And then, of course, at left tackle, you're really undermanned. You've got Pryor and Ryman. But I never thought they would be this bad. I mean, Ryan Kelly's not having a good season so far. Braden Smith's not having a great season so far. Poor Matt Ryan has been hit, 18, 20 times, something like that. He's been sacked. He was sacked 7 times coming into the game the other day. I don't know what the updated number is, but I have been shocked at how poorly the offensive line has played. And I'll tell you what, if I'm offensive line coach Chris Strasser, I'm renting.
I mean, it seems to be a theme across the state is poor offensive line play.
Apparently so.
I mean, it's kind of crazy how bad it is across the state.
And this is the highest paid offensive line.
Wow.
In football. The Colts dedicate a higher percentage of their cap to the offensive line than any team in the National Football League. So maybe they ought to be good at the very least. They are bad right now. Really bad.
Maybe they ought to this year. It should be flipped, and they need to buy Matt Ryan some sort of apology gift instead of him buying whatever the typical present is for the quarterback for the offensive line. But
his time to pass has been something less than 2 seconds.
Man.
It's been brutal, and they keep talking about communication. I'm like, for God's sake, is like one guy speaking Mandarin and the other guy Tagalog or something? I mean, how does this work? It's football. It's not that damn complicated. Get it together.
Right. And heading into this week, you got a big one because you've already lost. Lost to Tennessee. You've already tied with Houston, you already lost to Jacksonville. Now you go against Tennessee, and Tennessee's not off to a great start either. They're sitting at 1-2, the two teams that were expected to be at the top of the division. What challenges does Tennessee present for the Colts?
Well, I think Tennessee, obviously, it's like two teams looking in the mirror. You've got average quarterbacks, terrific running backs. So Zach Kiefer had a really good piece in The Athletic this week about how you can't win a Super Bowl with just a dominant running attack, which we kind of knew already. But if you go back, the last team to win a Super Bowl with the league's leading rusher was a team that I covered in 1998 in Denver with Terrell Davis.
Wow.
I don't believe you were born in 98, but that's another story.
I was.
So, I'm sure you were. So I think they match up well. They've got to go anywhere. They got to be great on special teams, which they were last week, and they got to be great defensively. I felt from the very beginning, because of the lack of pass rushers and lack of tight ends, that they were going to have to rely on this defense. And they did add Yannick Ngakoue, who played great the other day. They added Stephon Gilmore. So I just think, if they play the kind of defense they played the other day, they're going to be in every game.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing to see. We've got Big Ten Media Days coming up for basketball in early October, which is around the corner. You've got Indiana plays on the road at Nebraska this week. A must-win for Indiana, by the way, in my opinion. Every game's not a must-win, but this game is a must-win because it's one of the games winnable. That they can game.
It's winnable.
We were looking at the spread. It's actually gone down. Indiana had been a 6.5 point dog. Now they're down to a 5.5 point dog. Nebraska's not good. Indiana's not good, but Nebraska's not good.
This is must-see TV, isn't it? You're really pumping this game up.
Well, it's
one team really sucks, but so's the other. So
it could be a great game.
It might be a hell of a competitive game.
You know what they need? They need a version of the Manning cast for games like this. Because the Manning cast makes any game fun. I just watched the Cowboys and the other night play that stinker of a game. What was it, 6-3? I'm like,
I don't want to.
All I kept thinking about is I was like, what's the over and under in this game?
I grew up a Giants fan. I don't want to talk about it.
What was the over and under in that game? Anybody know?
I have no idea. I'm sure they got the under. It was brutal. What did Pat McAfee call the quarterback for Dallas? Cooper Cush. I think you got to go to a cannabis dispensary to find that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Can I get some of your finest Cooper Cush?
Getting Cush. He's getting Cush lashed. Isn't that what he said in that movie? And that was the last name of the quarterback in the Tom Cruise movie.
Was it? Okay, maybe that was the reference that I completely missed.
I wouldn't have got it.
When he played an agent, a sports agent.
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire, yeah.
Yeah. The guy, the number one draft pick that he ended up losing, I think his name was Cush. And he said, man, I'm getting Cush lash. You're talking about it. But
thanks for pointing out that reference because it went completely over my.
Well, I don't know that is that guy is his name Kush or something was.
It's Cooper Rush.
Rush, yeah.
Oh,
And he called him Cooper Kush, and I texted him. I go, "Are you on the medicine again?"
I bet you it's the. I bet you that was a reference to the movie. Then Kush Lash.
His breakdown, his breakdown of the butt punt was must watch TV.
It was fantastic, and in that quarter, he was in his glory because there were like 7 punts.
I know, yeah.
He's like, "This is the greatest, most glorious exhibition of football I have ever seen in my life."
It was fantastic.
Right,
I wish he would do it every week.
I'm going to use this as a segue, if you guys don't mind. You always ask me what I'm working on. Next Wednesday, so a week from now, I've got a long piece about Pat McAfee where I go back and tell his creation story. You know, basically how he got his start as a multimedia star, which was doing local TV, local radio. He did the celebrity stand-up comedy thing at Crackers, which I was the first one to do, and they still talk about how brutal it was. But anyway, next Wednesday, it's a long piece about talking with the people who gave him his start, including Bob Kavoyan from Bob and Tom. And I think it's a really fun piece, and I hope you'll make a point of looking at it.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, I cannot wait. Yeah, I wish I echo Dustin. I wish he could do a segment on there with them every week.
He's fantastic.
He is just he's just one of those people that's naturally funny. He's just a funny dude, and he's got that energy. Oh my God, he's like he's on Adderall, natural Adderall,
or Cooper Kush,
or Cooper Kush. Cooper Kush must be a sativa. That must be a sativa brand.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's on a Cooper Purple Kush or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he is just freaking hilarious, and yeah, I
remember when he was thinking about when he was going to retire, and we talked about it, and he was like, "You think I'm crazy?" And I said, yes, you're crazy. I'd punt for another 2 years, make about $6 or $7 million more dollars, and then the media will still be there. But he totally he was committed. He was tired of football. His knees were a little bit beat up, and he was committed to this new life in the media. And he bet on himself, and God bless him. I didn't like the fact that he was going to Barstool because I think they're a bunch of lowlifes. Right. But you know, he overcame that, and now look at him. Game day, YouTube TV.
Yeah. Well, he's made the right decisions at the right time. He's made all the right decisions at the right time, even though I would have stayed too. I'd agree with you. I would have stayed and made a little more money, but he made the decision that ended up being at the right time for him that allowed him to make that. I don't want to call it a mistake of going to Barstool, but he saw that,
for him.
And then he realized, hey, I need to go in a different direction. But it gave him that time to do that, and he is and now he is just he's a one-man wrecking crew.
He is amazing, and I'm really happy for his success. We were talking to training camp earlier this year. I used to do a stupid little 2-minute video for the Indianapolis Star, and you know, I used to do it like on Monday or whatever. So I did one on Pat after he took a swim in the canal, and I wore a snorkel. Yeah. I did not go hard and heavy. I thought it was hysterical. I mean, I'm not saying that you should get drunk and stupid, you know, but
that's no way to go through college.
No, yeah, exactly. But he wasn't driving. He didn't hurt anybody. It was just silly. It was funny, you know, and so I supported him throughout that, and I think he appreciated that.
Oh yeah, Troy Aikman hated on IU a little bit the other night in the broadcast when Peyton Hendershot made that catch, I believe.
That's because Joe went to IU.
Aikman
giving Joe a hard thing about his football. I wouldn't take that too seriously.
Did Joe graduate from IU? I don't think he did he?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
I know he attended. I don't know if he.
I thought
graduated.
the story I was told was that he went for like a year and then moved on to other things. I could be completely wrong on that.
Okay, I don't know, man. That's entirely.
He doesn't talk about IU a lot. I know that.
About the football team?
No, just Indiana in general.
Oh no, well, maybe he was only there a year. I don't know.
I think that's why a lot of people don't realize that he went to Indiana.
Yeah.
Randy Johnson's daughter went to IU. Do you know that?
Randy Johnson,
the pitcher.
Oh,
yeah.
Did not know that. That's a fun fact.
She was just here until last year. Graduated.
I did not know that. Okay.
It's amazing. There's little things out there like that. But man, I'm looking forward to the piece on Pat. That anything you write's interesting, but the fact that it's about him on top of it, this is going to be extraordinary. Looking forward to that, man. And if you should be doing the same, peeps, because this is going to be a great one. Now, is this something he did? Did you talk to him about this?
No, I sent him a text. I hope he got it. I've got like 9 numbers for the guy, and he changes it all the time. No, what I decided, because I knew getting Pat to sit down for more than 2 minutes is almost impossible. Yep. You know, if you want to do an interview with him, you gotta plan it out 2 years ahead of time. I talked with Ronnie Ramos, who was the head of the Indy Star at the time that he started the streaming show. I talked with Scott Long, who gave him an opportunity in comedy in the celebrity stand-up. I talked with Dave Calabro from THR because they did a show together. And I talked with Bob Kavoyan, who really got the whole thing started with Bob and Tom. Because after Pat went for his little dip, Kavoyan and Tom Griswold asked him to come on the show and, kind of explain what happened. And he was hysterical. I still remember it. So I talked to people around him. And I think when he reads it, he'll find it kind of funny, too.
Oh, I'm certain it will. It'll be great. Looking forward to it. Cannot wait. What are you off to this weekend?
Just Lucas Oil. Just Lucas Oil. We got a massive game this week. I'm working on a couple of longer stories. I'm working on a piece. I hope I can pull this off. But it's been, I think, 14 or 15 years since Peyton Manning did his Saturday Night Live guest host gig.
Oh, has it been that long? Are you kidding me?
It was like I remember because I was supposed to go to New York with him. I was supposed to literally fly with the dude.
And my God. And, dude, you've lived such a charmed life. You were supposed to go
but I couldn't do it because Butler beat somebody in the NCAA to go to the Elite 8 or Sweet 16. And they're like, no, you stay with Butler. So they sent another guy.
Butler.
I know. They sent another guy, Mark Alicia, out there instead of me, and he did a great job. But I would have loved. So I'm trying to reach out to cast members, the producer. I just sent a bunch more emails this morning. So that's far, far off in the future, but hopefully I'm able to pull that off.
One of the funniest, if not the funniest, they do video clips.
Yeah.
It's right. Probably one of the funniest, if not the funniest. All right, I'm going to give it the second funniest. Dick in a Box is the funniest of all time. So that nothing is going to replace that.
I don't know.
But this,
the United Way. It was for the United Way, right?
Oh my God, yes. He's got this group of kids out in a park in New York. It looks all great scene. And you've got the great Peyton Manning with these, 9-year-old kids.
Yeah, he's confusing the hell out of them. He threw
one pass that would have knocked me down today. Oh my God, and he's cussing them out.
Dustin, have you seen that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. It's sort of required.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my God.
I watch it.
You talk about somebody funny. We were talking. Sorry, Dustin, about Pat McAfee. Peyton Manning is another one that has just got comedic timing. He's funny.
Yeah, he's really amazing, and I would not be surprised to hear. I've heard this from other people that of all the athletes they've had on, he was the best on Saturday Night Live. They've had Gretzky.
That's because they haven't had Pat McAfee.
Well, McAfee may be in the future. That's true. But Peyton just gets it. He's got such a weird, funny, dry sense of humor. He's so self-deprecating. And it's funny. He's from kind of the royal family of football.
Yeah.
But he's got a real everyman, goofy, funny quality to him.
Well, I didn't used to think Eli was this funny or that funny until Chad Powers.
Yeah, I that surprised me a little bit. He
Killed it as Chad Powers. Run fast, think fast, run fast.
Well, and I'll tell you what, their other brother Cooper is hysterical too. I mean, I'd like to just sit down and have a couple of beers with those guys. Just
my God, I would just sit there and listen to them. I mean, they're hilarious, and the Manning cast is just that. I don't know how the ratings for the Manning cast do not exceed that of the regular broadcast.
Yeah,
I don't waste my time with watching the other one. No offense to.
It's funny. It's funny. It depends on your football knowledge. Now, I enjoy the Manning cast because he'll talk about different blitzes and different sliding the protection this way or that way, and I learn stuff.
Yeah,
you know. My wife was watching it with me the other day. She's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And me trying to explain it in my however I can, she's like, can we go back to because if you go back to the other broadcast, they'll tell more general stories about the players. You know, he's got 3 daughters, and they'll tell the personal stories of, it's geared for people like my wife who really enjoy football, but aren't into the X's and O's. So I think it's a great combination. You can, I prefer the Manning cast, sometimes depending on who their guest is, but for a different kind of viewer, I think the main feed is the way to go.
Yeah, my favorite part is the Peyton's always into the game, no matter what's going on. He's into that play, but whatever also is being thrown at him, whatever shade is being thrown at him, he's got both of them going. And as soon as he gets done with that play, he throws his own shade back out, and he's on it, man. It's funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, brother, I cannot wait till the new piece comes out. Looking forward to that, and I hope you have a great week.
You too. We will talk to you on Wednesday.
Absolutely, sir. Have a great one. The great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining us here on this Wednesday. Looking forward to much more coming up. Rick Bozich joins us later. Brought to you by GoTeam. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up for the WOW Club, start earning WOW rewards today, and pick up some GoTeam. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Cushman. Getting Kushlash. He's getting Kushlash.
Ooh.
Woof. Woof.
Woof, woof, woof.
And I don't think we're even going to get remnants of the rain. Where did my hurricane?
I don't know why we're not down here. We got nothing, no local stations. They must be resting up.
What do you mean you got no local stations? None of them on?
None of them are giving us the local news.
Well, why don't you go to the Weather Channel?
Because I don't have the Weather Channel.
You don't have cable?
No, I have Hulu.
Well, that's the same thing.
We don't have the Weather Channel.
You don't have the Weather Channel's not on Hulu?
No, we looked 2 days ago. It's not on here.
First of all, I just Googled the Weather Channel, and you don't have you're looking at a TV, not a computer, right?
Correct.
You need to get YouTube TV, man.
No. They just they jack up their prices by $20 every freaking year. I've already tried it.
No, they don't.
Hulu
they did it once.
Same thing.
They're all the same price.
How much is YouTube TV?
$65.
I pay $42 for Hulu.
You don't have the Weather Channel though.
You don't have the TV. You don't have the live TV thing, then, do you? That's really cheap.
Yes,
do you have
Is
all
this your first year having it?
Do you have all the Big Ten channels?
Yes, I have every sports channel I need except for Pac-12 Network, which nobody cares.
Is this your first year with it?
No, I don't think so.
Mine is way more expensive than what you're paying for, but mine's been going up the past couple of years.
Jack it up.
But if it's your first year, you may have some sort of deal.
That could be.
Brian was down at the Ugly Grouper and down there at boy, you talk about timing, brother. You made it just in perfect timing. He was at the Ugly Grouper Saturday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is perfect timing.
And then headed to Lido Beach, which I don't know where that is.
It's the #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Wednesday, brought to you by our good friend Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Realty. If you are in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. We are just discussing YouTube TV or Hulu. I have YouTube TV.
Well, I mean, maybe they're both the same. I don't know.
They're pretty similar, I think, but I've never had the other, so and I prefer this. It's on my phone. It's just easy. I can cast it. I used it to cast. If I can take my little Google thing with me. So let's see. Where were we? I want to miss some great comments that we had up on here. Oh yeah, we talked about my 17 game parlay, or I mentioned it, that I picked very early in the week. So it stinks because all the odds will change. Like Indiana's already changed a point. Well, that screwed me. No, actually, it helps me. I got an extra point.
There you go.
But if that sucker hits,
okay, you locked it in at 6.5. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so that does help.
Tanis says if Jim hits the parlay, what are the odds that we have the show next week? Oh, guarantee it. But it's just going to be from a different location like Bally. Someplace I've never been. Ed mentioning that Maryland is an 8-point favorite now. Well, that's not. Wait a minute. I thought they were playing Michigan.
Michigan State.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, see, that one's going to be such an interesting game to talk about on Friday. And we can talk about it now. I don't know what to do here. And
I think a lot of people are with you on that.
And the fact that they're now an 8-point favorite, I'm like, I was already like, I don't know. I'm torn. And now they're making it work. I'm like, really?
See it.
Like, wow, the confidence. Did something happen with Michigan State? Did they just lose somebody? I haven't looked into it.
Well, they've had some injuries, number one. Number two, they looked terrible against Minnesota. I mean, they could not stop the run. They could not run the football. They could not throw the football. They could not do anything football related that would lead you to win a game. So I don't think Michigan State is a very good football team. I think Minnesota is really good, but Maryland,
got a good quarterback.
Who? Maryland. And he's in question for this week. So if Taulia
that makes all the difference in the world.
It does. If he's 100%, if he was 100% healthy, I love Maryland minus. Well, yesterday it was 7. I don't know if I love -8 as much, but I loved Maryland to cover that. Now that he's in question, or I think he's been in question, it obviously, I still like Maryland to win the game because I don't think Michigan State's nearly as good as they were last season, but it's very compelling.
As a matter of fact, let me pull them up. I'll tell you some of the. So I got to sign in. Hurry up, sign in. Oh, come on. Anyway,
I would really like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I really like, just looking through the college footballs, the slate, Georgia minus 28. I love that against Missouri because Missouri is not good at all. I don't know, Pitt minus 22 against Georgia Tech. I mean, there's some wide spreads that I really like them. I like Washington minus 3. That's a big one to me. And I like.
Yeah, they're in mine. Here, let me tell you my. Uh-oh.
Oh, he didn't lock it in. By the way,
I'm not signed in.
Minnesota minus 12.5 is way too. I would put a lot of money on Purdue.
See,
to cover that.
I don't really.
Yeah,
Minnesota's a very good football team.
they are. But Purdue has lost their 2 games by 1 possession. They have each of the last 3 games against Minnesota and Purdue have all been won by Minnesota, and it's all been a 1-possession game. I think 3 points, 7 points, maybe 7 points twice and 3 points. They have been very close games. Obviously, the question is Aiden O'Connell.
Minnesota this good, though?
2019, they were. They were 11-2, and they were quite a bit better than Purdue, and I think Purdue played them really well that year. So I think I don't know. I like Minnesota. It, to me, looks like the more complete football team. So I know why they're the favorite. I just don't like them 12.5 points. I think Purdue's going to.
Right.
And by the way, this is a game that last year Purdue wins this game. I believe, if I remember correctly, if they would have beat Minnesota, they lost 13-9. They would have been going to the Big Ten championship game. Maybe it was 2013, whatever it was. So I think there's an added emphasis on this game.
All right. Well, I have a 17-leg parlay. You know, we talked about the guy who had the 23-game parlay, $7, and it got up to, he was 21 of 23, and they offered him $250,000 as a cash out, and he took it instead of the 1.02 million that he would have gotten. I have a 17-team parlay that, of course, none of the games have started yet, but I have a cash out option. I'm trying to weigh it. What should I take it? $3.12.
There you go.
I've got an offer on the table.
It's like deal or no deal.
$3.12. Yeah, I'm like, but I'll tell you, I've got Georgia Southern plus 10 at Coastal Carolina.
I like that one. Yes, that's a good one.
I've got Michigan State. I took them on the money line.
Oh, that's going to be an early day for you.
I really, really regret that one now.
Yeah. Well, that to me is a coin flip. It depends on if Taulia is playing or not.
I took Washington Huskies and gave up the 3.
I like that.
I took Middle Tennessee on the money line. Coming off of their big win over Miami.
Who were they playing?
I took UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio.
Okay. I like that one.
I took Washington State on the money line over California. I took Louisville minus 15.5 over Boston College.
Wow. Okay.
I took Cincinnati. Louisville's been killing people. It's crazy.
Well, yeah.
I took Cincinnati minus 9.5 at Tulsa.
Okay. Yep,
that's going to be a tough one. I took the under for Indiana and Nebraska.
Smart. Whoa. You took the under? Oh boy. What? I gotta learn your train of thought here.
I know that I know both defenses are terrible.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's going to equate in a ton of points in this game.
Okay. What is the over-under in that? 60?
It was 60, yeah.
I could boy, that's going to be
I just didn't see both teams scoring 30 points.
Yeah.
It's
I could see that.
It's $15. That's why I was like that.
Right.
That's why the payout's $1.2 million because of taking silly bets. I took Minnesota and gave up the 12.5.
Wow. Okay.
I took Kansas getting 3 against Iowa State. How in the world Iowa State is giving up 3 points at Kansas?
They still don't love it. The bettors still don't love the Jayhawks. I don't know if they were favored against Duke, actually, I think.
What about Michigan is at Iowa, and Michigan's only having to give up 10.5. I still just think that Michigan is just stronger than that.
I hate that line.
Yeah.
Because I think the reason is I think it's right on the money. I think that 10 to 11 points is right at it.
Yep.
Because I think Iowa's defense is really good, but their offense has obviously struggled. Michigan good in all phases, but I think this is going to be a slobber knocker. I think this is going to be a really fun football game, but I think I feel like
I just think that Michigan just has too many weapons that while Iowa will be fun, but Michigan's just going to get loose a couple times. We'll see. Well, but Friday will be. This is just kind of I don't necessarily. All of these are not bets that I would take again in like my 14 parlay.
Right.
I'm not taking Michigan State in that. I took Georgia State and 7.5 points at Army. That's dangerous.
That's very dangerous. Neither one of those teams are very good, though.
Yeah. Here's one. Illinois and the Wisconsin. I didn't know what to do. I took the under.
Yes, smart play. I like that. Because was it?
Yeah, I took the under. It's 43.5.
43.5. Yeah, I like the under in this one.
Yeah, because I'm like, you know what? I don't think. Do you know how many points Illinois is giving up per game?
It's 23 against Indiana.
8.
Is it 8?
8 points per game. That's pretty damn good. I know that they probably have played 3 non-con games since playing Indiana, but doesn't matter. It's still pretty good.
Yeah, they had Wyoming's pretty good, and Illinois steamrolled them. They steamrolled a Chattanooga team that's ranked in the FCS, which it's an FCS team, but and then who was the third? They beat Virginia like 24-3. They steamrolled them, so that's gonna be a sneaky good game.
I'm gonna take Illinois in the upset this weekend.
I did too.
That's gonna be my little lock on the deal. So I took Utah minus 10.5 against Oregon State. I took Clemson minus 6.5 over North Carolina State. I took the Dukies bouncing back against Virginia minus 2.5, and I took the Fighting Womacs, South Alabama Jaguars.
Nice.
On the money line.
I can't wait.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be nuttier? Trust me, if that were to hit, this show would just become, if you think it's a party now, it would literally become a party, because it would be like a Pat McAfee set then, baby. We would just go all out. We'd go all out.
That'd be awesome.
It would be. It looks like it's time to hit a break, according to the boss. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our good friends from Barber Pop Real Estate Services down in southern Indiana, Louisville. If you're looking for a home in that market, They have served that area for over 3 decades. No one knows the area like Barbara Pop Real Estate Services, and no one can get you in the home you want better than they can. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com, or Matt Lincoln, at barbarapop.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right, this upcoming segment will be a bit shorter to catch up.
Hey, get my Mike Woodson question.
It's ready. I had that loaded in.
And do you have anyone? And do you have anyone else?
I have Jalen Hood-Schifino and CJ Gunn. It's just one question, or I think it's 2 questions from each.
Woodson. All right, let's go. Woodson, JHS, and then CJ. What did I
do not remember what either of those 2 are. I know you know. Do you know? You probably know what your Woodson one is, don't you?
That I do. I mean,
okay. Just generalize the Jalen. CJ.
Actually, I don't remember what I asked him, but let me stop and think.
I remember he addressed you, like you said your name in the answer.
Yeah, that got my attention. I'm not going to lie to you. I can never say I've had the head basketball coach say my name in Assembly Hall before.
None of them. How many years have you covered Indiana?
A lot. I mean, there's just 5 years just for this show, and then working in TV before that. But yeah, that was.
Has Tom Allen ever said, or any of the football coaches?
Yeah, but it's different.
Yeah.
Plus it was in Assembly Hall, so. Yeah, I got a text from somebody like almost immediately.
Did you
really? Said, dude, he didn't say anybody else's name, did he? And I'm like,
that's a good point. I don't think I heard him say anybody else's name either.
He didn't. It was all right. So,
by the way, I have it written as Over the Hump. Like that's kind of what I titled it. I don't know if that helps you ring a bell of what that question was.
Oh, I know. No. I know what I asked him.
Okay. All right. Back in 30.
Home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl.
I'm going to get lucky?
No, Dustin is.
Oh.
Decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday, keeping an eye on Hurricane Ian down for our friends in Florida. We're brought to you, of course, by Feast Market and Cellar, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up for the WOW Club, start earning WOW rewards today. Feast Market and Cellar, of course, located right next door to Southern Stone on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, where you can go catch the Coaches Show each Wednesday night, where I will be tonight at 7:05. Don Fisher hosts Inside Indiana Football with Tom Allen. And, of course, you could walk next door and select a incredible bottle of wine and take that home with you. Just looking here at the radar right now, you're going to get lucky.
Am I?
Mr. Dustin? I think it's going to come up. And once it hits, it's got to go across Florida before it goes up. They're talking about high tide at Fort Myers at 6 o'clock tonight of around 16 feet. Naples, 7 to 11 feet from a storm surge. So that's right where I have friends that are in Cape Coral there, and that's part of that area. Also, our good friends down at the Ugly Grouper on Anna Maria Island, which it's just south of Tampa Bay is where Anna Maria sits. So they're kind of, but yeah, I think it's going to go across, and I think you're just going to get a bunch of rain.
Well, I mean, we'll get some wind too, but hopefully.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that I'm looking at it. It as it comes in, it's cutting all the way across like it's going towards Jacksonville, and then coming back into Georgia. Like it goes out, it leaves land, and I wonder though, once it hits land and then hits the water again, will it reform as a hurricane?
I don't know.
Because it can't sustain itself as a hurricane going across that much land. I wouldn't think. I'm not a meteorologist.
I don't think so, but I don't know. The interesting thing about this is every day it has shifted paths. Like it finally consistently, they got a consensus that it was probably going to hit around the Tampa area, but then afterwards, where is it going to go? Like there's been a giant cone of doom around us, and so it just keeps moving, which is very odd this late in the game. So it's going to be, I don't want to say interesting, but it's going to be something to keep an eye on because it just continually moves.
Sam, is West Orange or Olympia down there? Because Dustin went to, what high school did you go to?
I went to Lewis Cass up in Indiana. I did not graduate. I lived in Windermere for...
you didn't graduate high school?
I did graduate. Lewis Cass, Indiana.
I thought you said you didn't graduate, so I didn't.
And then we moved to I moved to Windermere in 2016.
Windermere, Florida?
Yes, for 3 years.
I missed that.
The Magic Kingdom was my backyard, baby.
Were you in the wonderful world of the wizard? I can't remember. Wonderful wizardy world of Harry Potter, whatever that.
One of my really good friends used to work at Universal. I used to work at Disney Springs, House of Blues.
It was
a good time.
Daytona Beach is expected to get 10 to 15 inches of rain from this. The other side where it's coming in, Cape Coral, 2 to 3 inches.
Really?
That's nuts. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because that's right at where it's coming in. But man, yeah, their coast is going to get hammered. But Forrest, just jumping on. Well, no, that was a while back. Just trying to catch up. Yeah, I'm going to have that name is, how you say that?
Victor.
Bob said it already.
I don't know. That looks like something I should not try to pronounce.
Banji, oh my God. That is not the correct spelling.
That's what I was reading it, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I'm glad I caught on
to that one quick as well. Boy, that was like Michael, Mr. Yeah. So we're gonna take a break. We got the great Rick Bozich coming up next. He's high and dry. He's in Louisville. We don't have to worry about him floating away. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Metalworks Brewing Company, located right here in Bloomington, across from Cabello, right off the square. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Hey, this is John.
Hey, Rick.
Who's floating away? Derek Jackson?
Well, yeah. He was sending us texts earlier.
How bad was it?
Where is he, John?
I thought he was in Miami.
I thought he was
in
somewhere.
He's in Fort Myers.
Oh, hell, that's right there in the heart of it.
It is right at, yeah.
The people that actually own my condo are in Cape Coral.
I'll tell you who's right in the middle of it, I think, is Vital.
Oh, is he really? Is that where he lives?
Bradenton.
Wow, I'm seeing pictures of a bunch of battered planes already.
Planes?
Has it made landfall?
Holy shit. Is that from this?
Yeah, Dickie V's tweeted some things. Wow.
How are you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I can't complain. The weather's been lovely, and it's almost basketball season.
How bad was Cincinnati? Pretty bad.
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go?
I kind of.
You made a wise decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to Nebraska, but that one, I don't know how that game's going to go. I really don't.
Are they still, what, a 5.5-point underdog?
Yeah.
Yep. It was 6.5 yesterday.
Didn't it open at like 2 or 3?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how to project how Nebraska's approaching the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Or I use.
What the hell? Where did this go?
Who knows?
Yeah, I know it doesn't look good, but it's so funny. As bad as this team is, and they're not good.
My gosh.
They're not good. They could end up being 4-1 after this week. And that would be
10 seconds.
I can't imagine them being that.
EaglePoint.com, the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. An exceptional golf and dining experience.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Jim Coyle with you here on Indiana Sports Beat this Wednesday, as is my friend Dustin Schutte from Outsider.com, joined by our good friend Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 down in Clarksville, right off of I-65. Pizza, burgers, beer. Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Good. Looking forward to.
We were talking.
Got a big Friday night ahead of me, man. I don't know
What's
if I told
Friday
you
night?
this before.
You getting remarried?
Bigger. Hard as this is for me to believe, over like a 68-year stretch of 39 games, Jeffersonville never beat New Albany in football. Were you aware of that? This is like from 1904 to 1972.
I knew
Finally,
there was a long patch.
It's impossible for me to believe that, but it did happen. And finally, in 1972, Jeffersonville beat them for the first time ever. And Friday night, they're having a 50-year reunion of that team. So I'm going to get together with them and do a story on the 50-year reunion of the Jeff team that finally broke the streak over the hated New Albany Bulldogs.
Yeah, it is unbelievable because I don't know. New Albany was probably just a much bigger city back then because New Albany at one time weren't they the not the state capital, but they were one of the largest cities in the Midwest. They were bigger than Louisville back in the day at one point.
Right. Now, Corydon was the state capital, but yeah, New Albany was a big town.
But yeah, that was an odd number because if you know, Jeffersonville has become it's a 2,000 student high school. Floyd Central, where I went, we were like 1,200, I think. But I will also like to point out that Floyd Central started their football program. They didn't even start one until 1967. And so they started playing New Albany in a couple of years after that. But currently, Floyd Central leads that series. Just to let any New Albany fans know if they were curious about that.
Interesting. Yeah, that is true. Floyd Central's been a better football program than New Albany. That's why I have a hard time trying to understand it, because I've never, like Bloomington South and Ben Davis and Evansville Wright. So those are the schools that I think of as longtime tradition. Jasper, Indiana high school football powers. I never thought of New Albany as a high school football power.
Which is odd because they have the size. They have enough kids. They've done it in basketball. They've been the basketball goes way back. So, just back to the 70s, actually. I don't know. Well, they've had, wasn't Joe Dean from New Albany?
Joe Dean was a New Albany star. Yeah, he was.
Joe Dean, the mayonnaise man.
Went to LSU.
LSU, yeah. So they've had some Poff. There's a Poff that was a well-known. What is that?
Yeah,
is that
I vaguely remember that one. Billy Herman, the baseball player.
And then when Floyd Central opened, that hurt them because they lost a lot of athletes. So, but there's a lot of people that don't care about that. But
they probably think we're stalling not to talk about IU football.
Yeah, no, but I'll just make sure that any New Albany fans out there know that Floyd Central leads that series once again, even though it was started much later. Indiana, Louisville, and Kentucky, all with interesting games this week. Kentucky, they're on the road down in they're on the road in Oxford at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
interesting game for them. I think are they an underdog in that?
Yeah, they're ranked number 7, and Ole Miss is like 14 or 15, and Vegas doesn't believe it. The Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite the last time I looked.
I just can't imagine, and I'm not a Kentucky fan. They're at quarterback, Will Levis, Dustin. He's been pretty good, and I don't know. Kentucky has seemed like they've been better than Ole Miss to me.
Well, I mean, Kentucky probably has more notable wins to this point in the season. Ole Miss hasn't. Right. I think their only Power 5 opponent has been Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech has just fired their head coach. They're not any good. So, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, Will Levis is I don't know if he's quite as good as what the hype train would have you believe, but he's a solid quarterback. They run the ball effectively. They just play it's like they have a problem with playing up to their competition and playing down to their competition. So this is going to be a really interesting game. Ole Miss, by far, to me, is the best team they've faced. But Ole Miss has kind of cruised a little bit, and they haven't really played anybody.
Rick?
Yeah, I mean, Levis, to me, his number one quality is he's ultra competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. He's hard-nosed. He's very confident in his ability to throw the ball, sometimes too confident, and he forces balls and gets interceptions. He's very willing to run the ball, but he's not like obsessed with it. He runs, usually he makes good decisions on when to run and when not to, and he's not afraid of contact. I mean, he's a leader. If I'm a Penn State fan, I'm asking James Franklin like 5 times a day. So you pick Sean Clifford over this guy?
I have a theory to that. And my theory is I think whichever guy would have went to Kentucky, Penn State would want back, because Penn State's offensive line has been so bad, and they until this year they haven't been able to run the football, that I think if Clifford went to Kentucky, I think they'd be saying the same thing. We picked Will Levis. I don't know that it's necessarily the quarterback's fault. I think it's more offensive line and scheming. I think Kentucky schemes really well, and I think that again, their offensive line to me is much better than what we see out of Penn State the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and the thing about Kentucky is the last couple of years when they've made the next step forward, they've invested in the program, and when it was time to get an offensive coordinator, they didn't cut corners.
Right.
They went and hired 2 guys who were who were working for winning NFL teams. One was with the Rams. He left and went back to the Rams, Liam Cohen, after last year. And then this year they got a guy off the 49ers. So, I mean, it just shows you the difference in the level of commitments among programs, that when it's time to fix your staff, you fix your staff.
Well, that's they're at a basketball school, unfortunately. So, but yeah.
There's a lesson to be learned there. We can remember. I remember when Indiana and Kentucky used to play. The Indiana won their share of the games when Mallory was the coach, and even a few years afterwards. And once Rich Brooks came to Kentucky, he changed the mindset there. Of this is an SEC program. You either got to invest more money in this and get serious about it, and quit having a defeatist attitude, and say, you're going to be as good as you can be, or quit doing it. And I mean, I think Indiana can learn a lesson from that. You can sit here and wring your hands about Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan all you want to, but that's the reality of the Big Ten. And you have to get serious about football and make a bigger and more visible commitment to it, and get in there and slug it out with those guys. I mean, it's not going to be easy. Huh?
Minnesota. Look at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Not going to be easy. There's no reason that Indiana shouldn't be able to be as good as Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin has no recruiting base in the state of Wisconsin. I mean, what do they have? I mean, but that's because Barry Alvarez changed the mindset there, and he made it a priority. And that's what Indiana needs to do at some point. I keep waiting for it to happen. And Kevin Wilson, I think, changed the mindset at one point a little bit, but it needs to keep evolving and keep changing, because it shouldn't be a program that, goes into Cincinnati and gets beat like that. It shouldn't be.
Well, to me, Indiana has to, and I mean has to, they have to put a premium on linemen, offensive linemen specifically going forward. And if that is not a premium for this program, they don't have a chance. I don't care who you bring in.
We've known that, though, for 2 or 3 years, and it hasn't changed. I mean, we've known the offensive line hasn't been good for 2 or 3 years. And you looked at the team coming into this season, and they brought in all these dudes out of the portal, all the different positions. But the only guy they brought in on the offensive line was the D2 kid from Texas. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
No one does. That's the thing.
I think there's going to need to be a change in the offseason as to who runs the offensive line is going to be my guess.
Well, that was said last year. That was said last year, though.
Okay.
What was your take? Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I was just going to say, it's getting like to me, this offensive line might be worse than it was last year. And you have an experienced, and I know they lost Matthew Bedford. I understand that. But how do you have, first of all, how have you not built up any depth in the Big Ten on the offensive line? This isn't like it's a 1 year thing where, we're not going to be very good on the offensive line this year, but next year we should have more depth. It's a continual theme. The other thing is nobody on the offensive line is any good. So why are you not rotating more to at least keep guys fresh? I don't understand. I don't understand this mindset. What I will say, though, I give Walt Bell a ton of credit because he has schemed to get Indiana to 3-1, put some points on the board. And coming into this season, we knew Indiana's offensive line was not going to be good. So they've got to fix that. But I've been far more concerned because we thought the secondary was supposed to be good. We thought the defense was going to be the strength. And they have looked atrocious, in my opinion, through 4 games.
Yeah, the corners have been beaten more than they should for, what the talent level is considered to be. But I guess I wanted to know, what was your guys' take on, people made a big deal of it at the press conference on Monday. I think it was Zach Osterman asked a question of Walt Bell about the offensive line. And he kind of paused before he answered it to try and figure what's the right way for me to answer this. And then he said it was a great question. And a lot of people interpret it as, the pause was like, Yeah, I'm with you, but I can't say what I really want to say. Did you guys see it that way?
Yes.
There's no other way to see it. I mean, I think that the question came, and when you don't instantly have that answer that is not going to be, that's going to be PC, you have to pause for a second, and he did just that. But there's not a lot else he can do, because he's that tells me, but maybe he's a guy that is not going to BS you about stuff. That BSing is not the first thing that comes to his mind, and I like that. And I don't have a problem with his play calling this year. I think he's done everything he can do with what he has. As a matter of fact, I don't know that they'd be where they are without some of the play calling. But
can you imagine trying to call plays when you can't call any run plays?
No kidding.
The not being able to run in the red zone, especially, is killing them. They've thrown for more pass attempts than any team in the United States, any college team in the country, because they cannot run the ball. I mean, Connor Bazelak is his arm going to hold out? This is only the 5th game coming up. He's got 7 more games in that shoulder. That's like running a guy out, a starting pitcher out, and running him 9 innings every game.
I'm far less concerned about his arm than I am the rest of his body, because his legs, everything, like a concussion.
13 hits.
That's what I said when we talked with Don Fisher. I said I'm not even being sarcastic in that it was an accomplishment for him to finish the game, like to not have to go out. He got hit so much in that game, and Michael Penix would have been done. Like his season would be over at this point to take that many hits. It's unacceptable.
Here's the thing. You know it. I know it. Fish knows it. Everybody who watches knows it. How can it go on? I mean, this isn't like something that just popped up the last 2 weeks. This has been going on for over a year. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I don't know why it hasn't been addressed, because if it's not changed, it won't change. So I don't understand why this season it wasn't changed before the season, to be honest with you, because it's just like me eating potato chips and candy bars every day, and then they're complaining about my weight going up. I'm like, until I stop, it's going to continue to go up.
Here's what I wonder, and this would be a talent evaluation. We can agree that the Indiana defensive line isn't very good either, right? Like I don't think they're getting as much pressure as they should. I wonder if those two units are so bad that they make each other look good in spring practice, fall camp. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a talent evaluation problem, which is a whole other issue.
Of talent drop off. I mean, Indiana has always they put guys in the league on the offensive line. I mean, this is not Alabama or Ohio State.
Yeah, Wilson had Spriggs and Feeney and
even in the last few years, there was a couple guys, but they had more talent on the defensive line last year for certain. Yes. But there is a talent drop off on both sides for Indiana. I mean, I think they're at a MAC talent level right now. And that's scary, thinking you've got 7 more games to play.
I'm just giving my theory here. I've got no evidence. None of us are there behind the scenes and see what's going on. But from my seat, I think Indiana also took a hit 3 or 4 years ago when the strength and conditioning coaches left and went to Alabama. Yeah. That was a huge hit to the IU program. Those dudes were good. IU looked more athletic, stronger, healthier back when those guys were here. And since they've gone, there's been a drop off. That's just my opinion.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no doubt. And if those guys weren't so important, Alabama would not brought in just one, brought in both of those guys.
Right.
Just came in and took both of them. And Indiana did a good job. They replaced him with the guy from the New York Giants.
Aaron Wellman, yeah.
But it's I don't know.
But here's the difference:
talent drop off or something, because there is a direct difference on those lines.
But here's the difference I'm going to talk about again, because I see all these three programs the most. At Kentucky, they've got a guy on their staff named Vince Morrow, who's a tight ends coach, and also he's assistant to the head coach, and he's their top recruiting guy. And he's responsible for a lot of the top recruits they got. And Michigan went after him, and it's like, no, you're not getting him. They jacked his salary up to more than what Michigan was willing to pay him, and he didn't go. If you're ever going to be serious about getting better at football, you have to invest in the program and do those kinds of things to show that you're serious. You can't constantly, Kalen DeBoer's here for 1 year, he does well, and he's out of here as fast as he can be. You're not ever going to have any sustained success if anytime you have somebody on your staff who's really good, you lose them at the first chance they get.
Right.
And not only that, you replace them. Your replacement of them is a tremendous drop off.
Right. And the coaches who stay are guys who other schools don't want to go after.
Exactly.
It's not good. I mean, it has to come from the very top of saying, this is Big Ten football. The world is evolving. Football's really important to create revenue and fill the stains and get to bowl games and be competitive. What has to be done to get it up to that next level? There's no reason Indiana can't be what Minnesota is, what Wisconsin is, what Purdue is, Maryland, whatever. They need to be in that mix. I'm not some Pollyanna who thinks they can become, Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan, but they ought to be able to be in that next tier. They shouldn't be in a situation where they go into some of these Big Ten games and you say they got no shot.
Right.
Well, I mean, Tom is loyal. Tom Allen, he's a very loyal person. And that is great because a lot of people aren't sometimes, but I think his loyalty can go to a fault. And I don't know if it clouds what he should see. But I think that sometimes comes up because the coaching industry. It's a hard industry. Mm-hmm. And nobody wants to fire anybody and nobody wants to see people get fired. But that's part of the job. I mean, especially in coaching, man, there's probably not a coach alive that hasn't been fired. But that has to happen, unfortunately. And I think Indiana, you talk about making a commitment. Tom Allen had to pay part of Nick Sheridan's buyout.
Yeah.
So
if that's indeed true, I've read that too. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's certainly been talked about. So yeah, that should never happen.
I wonder if that's the reason why the offensive line coach hasn't been changed, or if there hasn't been a change there.
I guarantee you that it's not happening at Minnesota or some of these other schools. It's not.
No. Well, you look at Nebraska. They could have waited 2.5 stinking weeks to save $7.5 million. Nope, didn't. But that still boggles my mind that they didn't do that, because that would have been this Saturday. But yeah, that didn't happen. But there's that.
There's a question for me. No G Herbo. No, that's a week from. That's not this week. That's next week, right?
Yeah, that's Hoosier Hysteria, baby.
Yeah, I don't think. Is that Friday night?
That is next Friday night. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be there for G Herbo. I'm fine with G Herbo. I think he's accomplishing what they're trying to accomplish. That's a great example of the basketball program being forward thinking.
Yeah.
They're going to bring this guy in here. A lot of fans are going to be indifferent to it. Some are going to
a lot of Indiana fans.
And it's like, they don't care. They're not the audience. The audience are the recruits of 2023, 24, and 25, and they're going to be excited, and they might get a few more visitors because of it, and that's what you have to do if you're serious about what you're doing.
And that's what the Indiana fan base is, an older fan base, Indiana basketball fan base. It's older partly because the greatness has come along. It's been a long time since the greatness was there, and all of the youth, well, they haven't seen greatness. They keep hearing about it, and they know about it. They know it was there, but seriously. So
no, I agree.
When a kid comes up, man, they want a winner. They want to cheer for a winner. And so Indiana has lost developing their fans in that way because of that. But so you're right. This is about getting the right players, and if you get the right players, you're going to get wins. You get wins, you got happy fans. I don't care what age they are.
Well, I'll tell you this: Kentucky's had rappers at their Big Blue Madness for over a decade, so they were on the front edge of this. Louisville's doing their Louisville Live version of Hoosier Hysteria at the baseball. It's outside this year at the baseball stadium in downtown Louisville. They're going to build like a covering or whatever, and they're putting a basketball court in the middle of the baseball field, and that's where their thing is, where they're bringing it.
Wow! So they're going to actually have a court out there.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, it is, right down on the river on Main Street. So that's what you got to do. You can't worry about what fans who remember Scott May and Kent Benson and Isaiah Thomas thought that Coach Knight did it. Kids today don't care. You need to make them have interest in your program and think, hey, it's got a cool factor. It's got a wow factor. I want to be a part of that.
Exactly. And last year, bringing back Isaiah Thomas was a good start for that. We'll hear, as a matter of fact, John, if you want to go ahead and play that clip from Mike Woodson from the other.
Just want to go into it cold?
Yeah. No, I'm getting ready to explain it. I asked Mike about, he's coming into his second year now. He's got tons of experience coaching and all that, but what did he learn as a college coach? Because big difference in how things go and how do you have to work and the recruiting and just all that stuff that goes with it. But here's what Mike had to say.
I got to get better. I always put pressure on myself. I don't put it on the player. The player has to play, but I got to get better in finishing games because I thought there were a number of games I left out there last season in terms of we controlled games. I mean, I look at the Iowa game coming down the stretch, 4.5 minutes and we up 9 and we can't close that game out. For me, that's tough to swallow as a coach. And so those are things that I got to go back to the drawing board and work on to the point when I'm in that position, I get them over the hump, and we come out of that game feeling good about ourselves. But I don't know. Coaching is coaching, Jim. There are a lot of things that come into play, when you're coaching. And, when I look at the college game and how it's being played, a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of three-point shots. The teams that sit at the top really get after you defensively. I think we got to be able to do all those things to be able to compete at a high level and beat, the big-time teams. That's what it's going to take this season because that's pretty much how the college game is being played.
He's definitely
he's walking the walk too. Here's another thing. I'll tip my cap to Mike Woodson. Under the two previous regimes, they scheduled like they were afraid to lose a non-conference game, and he's put himself in position where he's playing 4 games that he could lose. He might win 4 of them. He might go 2-2, but he could lose all 4 because you're playing Kansas on the road. They'll be an underdog. You're playing Xavier on the road. Could be an underdog there. Carolina's probably the best team in the country. You're playing them at home, and you got Arizona on a neutral court. Those are going to be 4 hard games, but it's like, hey, if you're going to be good, that's the kind of schedule you have to have. You can't be staying home playing Kennesaw State and, Mississippi Valley State and all those teams. So salute to Mike Woodson doing it the right way. And if your team is a veteran, mature team, and you'll learn what your strengths and weaknesses are from playing those games, and it'll make you better for the Big Ten.
Not only that, but I've said it also should help with recruiting too. I mean, not that Indiana is really hurting, but kids want to play in those games. They want to play in those environments. They don't want to play Mississippi Valley State at home or Southern Illinois at home. Right. You have to have a few of those because you got things to work on. You want to get guys on the floor and in the rotation. Totally get it. But to have 3 or 4 of those big time games, that's attractive to recruits.
But not only going to a place like the Fog Allen, playing Kansas, and being competitive, that is That's the thing right there. And that will have instant impact, I think, on Indiana and its recruiting, because they've already done pretty daggone well. They're hitting with great strides. But the one thing that they haven't done yet is just simply win. And when they start winning, then it's on.
Every top kid in, they just announced this week, I think the Carolina game is 9:15. That's the primary game in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Every good player in the area should be invited. You want to come to that game? Come in and watch. That'll be Assembly Hall at its absolute best. That's the best recruiting tool they can have that night.
Well, Rory Williams, if you'll remember, the last time North Carolina was here, all he did was talk about the crowd and how he wishes they got those kind of crowds for games in North Carolina, besides for Duke, that it was crazy. And but so absolutely. Rick, what's coming up next for you, man?
I'm working on a story about a high school soccer player today, but I can't give out many more details, but it's a really good story. So check it out later today or tomorrow at WDRB.com. Friday, doing over that Jeff New Albany reunion. Saturday, I'll be writing either UK or U of L, and starting to get cranked up for basketball.
It's around the
I'll
corner,
get my
man.
G Herbo playlist ready. Are you got any G Herbo bumper music for next week for when I come on?
You know what? We'll get that taken care of.
I'm kind of fired up today, in case you can't tell. When
it's awesome.
It's just,
and the Sox didn't even make it, and so you still having
they've lost 7 in a row, man. They may not win another game.
Well, the season's over with them. We'll start again next year. I'm gonna have to get myself a Sox hat and have it all ready to go. But all right, brother, we appreciate you.
All right. Have a great week, guys.
Thank you, sir. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you go give him a follow and check him out and his coverage of all things sports. We got lots more coming up here from Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry down in Sellersburg. You need that championship smile, you need to see Dr. J, because he can give it to you. I am returning with Dustin Schutte right after this. More Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
What is happening on my television right now? It's like the best neighbor of the year award or something.
What, did you get a snake?
No. Although that would be among my candidates.
Tim said Rick Tebow should be the homecoming grand marshal. What about me? Tebow? What about me?
No respect.
What about me? Me and Rick? John, the producer, Dustin, we'll come be the grand marshals.
I'd be the worst.
Nothing to do with Floyd Central or Jeffersonville or whoever.
Floyd County.
If I never moved to Kentucky, I would have gone to Jeffersonville High School.
Well,
but you did.
Central. So you were born in Indiana?
I was born in Louisville, but I grew up for the first 11 years of my life in Indiana.
Wow.
Where I lost my weather. I lost my weather.
Chief Meteorologist Jim Coyle.
This just in from the National Media Center. There is a tornado warning for the Mojave Desert. Sustained winds at 14 miles an hour.
You say you worked at WLKY, right?
Oh, yeah.
That means you had old Jay Cardosi as your chief.
Jay Cardosi, Wayne Hart. Man, they had a big 4-person weather team in. Wayne Hart.
It's 3. No, they still have 4. They have 4 still. It's Jay Cardosi, Daniel Johnson, Mo Rose, and Matt Milosevic. They might have 5 actually, because we have a Suzanne.
Matt
Horgan,
Milosevic has been there for a minute, and Susan, what's her name?
Suzanne Horgan.
Yeah, she's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who was
That's
the
our
guy
TV partner for our weather radio hits is WLKY. All right, here we go.
A station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. On this Wednesday, we've made it to Hump Day. Thinking about our friends down in Florida as Hurricane, is it Ian or Ian?
I believe Ian.
I guess it depends on
That
where
reminds
you're
me.
from.
Have you watched? This is going to be one of the. This isn't guilty pleasure, but I have seen this movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and the dad refers to him as Ian Milar. That's what I think about when I think of Hurricane Ian.
I probably saw that movie one time.
I saw it one time too, but I laughed really hard at that point at that line.
I just laughed during the third quarter the other night of the Banning cast the whole time. There was at one point, I know what it was. They were talking about, and I got to give it to their crew, because their crew does a tremendous job of bringing up highlights and clips of stuff that they're talking about very, very quickly. They were talking about that I think it was Peyton said that Dallas has got to get a spy on, I forget the quarterback's name for the Giants, but he was killing them. He was running all over the place.
Yeah, Daniel Jones.
They got to get a spy on Daniel Jones, and I think Eli said, or Peyton said, yeah, that's something you never had to worry about, Eli. But then they're showing, what were you, Mr. Running Back? And so they're showing Peyton do this bootleg, and it works. But he runs out. They're in the middle of the field, and he ends up running all the way to the corner, to score. And he's like, man, I felt like I ran 33 yards on that 1 yard play. And Eli, great line, said, yeah, you got a delay of game penalty during the play. I mean, that's pretty quick thinking right there.
That is quick thinking.
I can't remember what Peyton. Then they showed one of Eli, not a very pretty run. He goes, wow, that's a nice 1 yard gain off of a fall, Eli. They're great.
Did you watch Peyton's Places? I think it's on ESPN Plus. He does.
Are you talking about Chet Powers?
No. It's called Peyton's Places.
Right. I think Chet Powers is going to be on Peyton's Places.
Oh, he might be. I don't know.
I think that's what that was from.
In the first, I think it was the first season, he went and he interviewed all these quarterbacks or all these players, and he went and visited Eli in New York, and he was explaining that catch against the Patriots with David Tyree caught it against his helmet, and Eli was going through the play, and he was like, I was thinking about, or I knew I couldn't run and then throw the football past the line of scrimmage, and Peyton made the comment, we really appreciate you not embarrassing the family by doing that. So they are very quick. They're it's very dry sense of humor too, but it's right up my alley. That's why I love watching the Manning cast any chance I get.
I'm going to order a Chad Powers shirt.
There you go.
I'm going to have one. That was just great. If you don't know what we're talking about, Eli Manning went undercover at Penn State University to be a walk-on quarterback. And he had a Hollywood makeup artist giving this 1980s look, man. But the funny thing is, there was nobody else trying to walk on that had size, because he's like a foot taller than everybody else.
Right.
I'm like, who the hell are these guys trying to walk on? They got no chance. But
Well,
yeah, it was hilarious.
It was. I like the line where he's, if Tom Brady can play in the NFL at 45, Chad Powers can walk on at 26.
Yeah, that's another thing. The lines he kept throwing out. I didn't think Eli Manning was that funny until Chad Powers. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it up. He's got some quick liners, man.
Yeah, he does. He was actually surprisingly good on Saturday Night Live when he went too.
But yeah, I'm going to order and have my Chad Powers shirt, by golly. So hopefully get that in soon. Love it. Man, I can't thank Bob Kravitz enough. Thank Rick Bozich, of course. Make sure you give both those guys a follow. Bob at The Athletic and Rick, WDRB.com. Thanks to Dustin Schutte. And we are thinking about all of our friends down in Florida. You guys stay safe. We'll be back tomorrow to talk to you again, and hopefully things are nice and calm then for everyone then. On the program tomorrow, John?
We should have Matt Taylor back, Chris Denari, and we'll see what else we can get planned for you.
Yeah, we're working on some other stuff. So go out and have yourselves a great day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.